Hello and welcome back to new player series for Crusader Kings 2. Last time we finished up the wars so that we now properly control France, and you'll see that in France the capital is now our old capital. It is Dijon over here. You can tell that by this little thing right there, that little symbol. Oh, didn't mean to have it select anything. So if we click here, we can see this is now our capital. We now control France. Right, fairly straightforward stuff. Now what do we want to do? Well, basically what we want to do is we want to start dealing with everything that we've been dealing with before, plus all the things we've been ignoring because we were busy in wars. So, first thing we need to look at, it's not on any of these buttons, it is actually in this tab, in Intrigue. You'll see right here we have a prisoners tab. We click on it, we can see we have a few prisoners to look at. Now, ignore this thing right here. This thing is if we want to set up like automatic things for prisoners. We don't need to do that. We only have 3 prisoners and it's going to be fairly straightforward. So, first of all, we have Baroness Purnell of Meow. So, what we're going to do is we are going to, well, I suppose we could do it back in the Intrigue tab. We're just clicking on here so we see who she is. She is married to Baroness Aldrich. He is fairly unimportant. He's under one of our dukes, so we don't really care about holding his wife. We're going to click ransom prisoner. It'll pop up. We can get 10 gold for his wife. We will say yes, because he likes her and he has 10 gold. Right. Next one. Looks like his daughter by the name. It is indeed his daughter. We will wait until we get the stuff back from his wife, and you'll see that actually it's grayed out, because we have to wait for one response before you can send another. That's basically a holdover of multiplayer play. So basically it's so that you don't spam someone with events and be like, do this one, do this one, do this one. At least that's what I think it is. Could be slightly wrong, but it seems to be right. Right, next one we have is Duke Philippe of Voila, or Valo. Basically, it doesn't matter. This is the previous liege. Now, we have a couple of different options for him. We could kill him, and this would mean that our cousin, Prince Hughes, would suddenly become in charge. Now, remember that we are third in line. We are still next in line to whatever these guys get. So, if we go to Prince Philippe, if we kill him, we are now first in line to all of his stuff, and he still has the Duchy of Volay, or what would that be? Valo, Duchy of Orleans. He is the County of Paris, and he is the County of Orleans. We would like all of these things, to be honest with you. So, what we would like to do is we would like to kill him. We would then like our cousin, Prince Hughes, to take over. We would like to kill him, and then we get all of their stuff. So, we're still on that plan. Although we have France, they still have valuable stuff for us. So, I would like to execute him. Let's see what the penalty of this is. Execute Prince Philippe of France. Using this option will be viewed as tyrannical, and you will lower all of your vassals' opinion of you by 10. The execution will also cost you piety. That's not good for us. We don't want that to happen. So, what could we do? Well, we could right now go down here, and we could throw him in the oblette. Now, what is this? This basically is putting him in a different dungeon. So it doesn't give us any tyranny, but what it does do is it lowers his diplomacy by a lot, so people dislike him. It lowers his health stat. And when I was saying before, a while back, about health, and that a normal person will live between about 40 and 60 with default health. Default health is 5. Like, it's just the number 5. That is a value for a default health. So lowering it by 2, in theory, means that we have lowered it by 2/5. So he will live 2/5 as long, in theory. So he wouldn't live that long. He's also wounded right now, so he already has -1. So if we do this, he'll have half the health stat he had before. Like, over half. So he might die at any moment if we do this. Seems like a very good option. Another option is that we mutilate him, or we torture him, and this has options of lowering his health even further. He dislikes us a lot more for it though, and the injuries will be permanent, But he will not be imprisoned by us. So right now, we're going to throw him a new blitz. We're just going to be like, okay, we can't outright kill you, but why don't you die in our dungeons? This is what the option we're going for. The other option, the counter one to that, is putting under house arrest. This basically, if we hover over in the dungeons, naturally being in the dungeons lowers your health. But if you put him under house arrest, basically, he doesn't get any negative health stuff. So he'll probably be healthier if we did that. We're not going to do that. We're going to throw him in the oubliette. Right. Now, he is also in a war. The Jure war over Vixen. So Vixen is where? Is this one right here. And this guy is a vassal of Prince Philippe. Now, we would ideally want this war to stop because we want, we want to inherit everything that this guy has. So we don't want him losing any land. However, given this is a de jure war over Vixen, this means that the Duke of Normandy will always have this claim on Vixen, and we honestly don't want the Duke of Normandy disliking us because he's quite a powerful vassal. So we're just going to let him win the war, because even if we were to inherit the land, he would still want it, and we don't want that. We don't want any conflict happening there. So that's where we're going. Right. So that's us dealt with Duke Philippe. Next one, titles can be created. We're going to look at this briefly, but not very in-depthly. So we can create the Kingdom of Aquitaine, because let's hover over it. We have to control 51% of it, and we currently control all of it. We need to have it would give us 400 prestige, and we need to have gold and piety, and we have those, which is why we can create the kingdom. However, we already have the Kingdom of France, and if we have two kingdoms, all that gives is a possibility that one of the kingdoms can be taken away through a war. So we don't want to do that at all. We do not want the Kingdom of Aquitaine to be created, at least until we're looking to move up to an empire tier and we can have it underneath us. So, if you look at de jure, this would be what the Kingdom of Aquitaine is, and we don't really want to. We don't want to create a separate title for ourselves. It's always better to keep just one title for yourself. Having a bunch of them just leads to confusion. Like a bunch of top level ones. By top level, I mean like the highest one that you can get. So say that your count, having a bunch of count level titles. Actually, that counts a bad example, because having a bunch of count level titles can allow you to then move up to being a duke, and that's generally good. Say you were a duke and you held a couple of duchies, but there was no point in holding a duchy. I'm trying to think of a better way of describing it. Okay, say you were a duke, like we're duke of this land over here. We are the Duke of Burgundy, right? And then we were also, say, the Duke of whatever this guy is. We're the Duke of Berry, so we held this land as well. So we had all of that land, but we were the Duke of Berry. But we didn't hold any land within Berry. We just held land within the Duke of within the Duchy of Burgundy, right? So what that would mean is we would have just a random duchy which had no purpose. And that's generally a bad thing, because it just means that you can lose land. Now, it could be a good thing, because if we held no land within the Duchy of Berry, but we were still the Duke of Berry, what we could do is we would then have de jure claims to take over that land. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. It means that you've got more to lose in there. It's kind of like a risky situation. I hope that made sense. If it didn't, don't worry about it. Basically, it only really matters when you go higher. Like, the higher you go, the more it matters. So, like, a king should not hold more than 2 king titles until they're going to become an emperor. An emperor should never hold multiple empire titles because there's no point. Basically, that's what I'm getting at. Hopefully that made some level of sense. Okay, right, let's move on from that rather quickly. Next one is we have an unmarried heir. Our heir should marry somebody. This is something that we can deal with. We'll do that in a second. Unlanded sons. Now, what it says is we're hovering over these 2 sons. It has Hughes and it has Robert. These are our sons who are of age, who are unlanded. Now, the effect this will have, we can show over here on our prestige. If we hover over it, we'll see it has a landless sons, negative 1.600. Now, we'll also see that we have all these other little modifiers there as well. And you'll see that actually just holding vassal duchies puts us at 1.600. So what that means is basically we're not really losing that much from having our sons unlanded. It's just saying we would lose a little bit of prestige. And this matters more when you're a smaller country. Because if you're smaller, the amount that you lose in terms of prestige is the same, but you're gaining less, like naturally. So that's why this matters. It doesn't matter when you're really powerful, basically. Okay, so this one does not matter at all to us. We can ignore it. In fact, if we wanted to, we could right-click it and we could press the X to disable it. I'm not going to do that just because I don't want to re-enable it for the other campaigns, basically. Right. We can righteously imprison Duke William the Bastard and Count Hughes of Charolais. Now, if we have a look here, we'll see that the council votes on things still, because if we go to our laws, which are the royal laws of France now, councils vote on imprisonment. Right. So, they would be happy with us imprisoning Count Hughes of Charolais, but not happy with us imprisoning Duke William the Bastard. And mostly that's because Duke William the Bastard is on the council, and we have some people who are basically voting against it because they're glory hounds. They like powerful vassals. So yeah, he's a little bit of a Satanist. Highly suspicious is how it puts it, and no one's Satanist. So yeah, he's in an interesting spot right now. He has a lot of traits as well, almost too many to fit in that little box. Yeah. That's not so great. He also has cancer, so he might not live very long. Right. So we're not going to imprison either of them, obviously. We're not going to imprison Count Hughes, because he's too weak and pointless. And we're already spying on him. We're not going to imprison Duke William the Bastard, because our council would vote no. It would be tyrannical. And he's actually a relatively strong vassal, so we don't want to really pick fights with our vassals. Right. Next one, Vassal Inheritance Warning. I said we would come back to this when we first saw it. I think it was last episode. But basically, this guy, his heir is still his son, but his son holds land in the Holy Roman Empire. He holds Hanut. So basically, this isn't good for us. Because when this guy dies, well, his son will inherit all of this stuff. It's not going to be good. So what we want to do, there is actually a law that should help us with this. Now, I have seen this law glitch out a few times. I realised we still had Duke William the Bastard's thing open. Let's not worry about it. Right. There is a law. The law is in here somewhere. We're looking for Controlled Realm Inheritance. Now, I have seen this law not work sometimes. And this law is only here in Conclave. If you're playing the normal version of the game, I think it's all rolled into Crown Authority. I could be wrong, though. But here we go. Controlled Realm Inheritance. Free inheritance. Vassal titles do not have any special regulations on inheritance outside the realm. Next one is legal. Vassal titles can no longer pass outside the realm through inheritance. So, we have opponents to this. We have Aldebert, Duke William II, Duke Gulhem II, Duke Bodawin, Duke Etienne, and Duke Etienne. Two different Duke Etiennes. So they all don't want this to happen. But basically what this would do is this would allow us to have vassal titles not pass outside the realm. So this is something we need to pass if we want to keep whatever Duke Bodwen has. And Duke Bodwen currently has the Duchy of Flanders and the counties underneath it. So he currently holds that land. And we'd quite like to keep that land, honestly. So we're going to very heavily push for this law to go through. So, in terms of laws, you'll see that we have 6 opponents. Yeah, 6 opponents. So, what we need to pass the law is we need basically majority vote. We get 1 vote. Our vote puts us up to 1 versus 6. So, we need to get 3 of these guys on our side. This then means it's 4 versus 3. The law will pass. So, what we're going to do is we're going to go onto our council. I think we did this before for changing inheritance law. But we're going to look here and we're going to see who is cheap to bribe. So probably Court Chaplain Aldebert is cheap to get on our side because he is unlanded. We're going to right click him. We are going to go for buy favor. We want to offer him 80 gold to get a favor. He's going to say no because he doesn't like us. Interesting. So he's currently out. Let's just go along the list then. Our steward, would he like to buy a favour? 200 gold. Because he has conflicting interests, he's going to say no. Next one is Spymaster Gulhelm. We want to buy a favour from him. It costs us 200. He has conflicting interests. Duke William the Bastard, if we want to buy a favour from him, we have conflicting interests. It will cost 250. Chancellor Bedouin, or Bojuin, conflicting interests. He does not want it. An advisor Etienne, if we were to buy a favour, he would accept it. He would take 200 gold for a favour. So, we're probably going to say yes to him. So that puts us at 2 versus 5 currently. We need to get another 2 on our side. What we can do is we can do this one. Request council support. Now actually these guys are still going to say no to this, which is unfortunate. But actually Duke, Court Chaplain Aldebert will say yes. Now what this one is basically this means that we will owe them a favour. Now a favour can be turned in for a lot of things. It can be turned in for a marriage offer. It can be turned in for a law voting on, some things like that. So we could request their support for 36 months, and then they would then have something they can use against us. So we could do that. How about Spymaster Guhem? Do you want to maybe get a favour from us? Where is this? Support council position. Request council support. He's already influenced by a favour. So he is already voting with Duke William the Bastard. So if we could get Duke William the Bastard to get this favour, we get basically 2-for-1 deal. Request council support. He would say no. He has conflicting interests. Chancellor Bojuin, we go down to request council support. He would say no. So right now we can get 3 people on our side. We can get 2 people on our side plus ourselves. That puts us up to 3. Versus 4 on the other side, I think, right? Yeah, so we would lose the vote currently. This isn't very good, but there are things we can do about it. So Aldebert and Etienne want to be on are currently going for it. Why does this guy have conflicting interests with us? That's something we should look at here. We can also look at the fact that some of these guys have things like the Great Pox. They're pretty old. When they die, we can put in new people on our council who will vote with us. In fact, we did notice that Duke William of Normandy also had cancer, so we're going to leave it for just now, especially as Duke Bojuin over here, he doesn't have any negative health traits. He is lustful, but has no negative health traits. So what we're going to do there is we're just going to leave it alone. We're going to wait for them to die. Next one is vassal levies raised too long. The way to fix that, don't raise your vassal levies, just basically don't go to war. Next one, Commander of France title is open. We have a slot for a new commander. This guy is currently our Chancellor. This guy here is our half-brother. He has nothing negative about him. He can be our commander. There we go. And then we have a weak claim we can press for what was that? Clemencia de Poitou. So that would be this one. She is currently unlanded. So if we were to press her claim, this would only put her in charge of the land that we're declaring the war for. So we don't want to do that. Also, apparently we can't. Oh no, because I didn't click it. If I clicked that, we could send it off. We're not going to do that, but we could. And this would give us a potential ally in the Holy Roman Empire. We also have Claim Forez. So this is our Spymaster got himself a claim on this land. And we could press it for him. We're not going to do that. Mainly because it's going to make him stronger. But we have to declare war on the whole Holy Roman Empire for one province. We could depose their anti-pope. We could make a tributary. We're not going to attack the Holy Roman Empire right now. Okay, cool. We've looked through what we need to do. So I'm going to end the episode here. And next time we'll go and do it. So thank you for watching. See you then. Goodbye.